your reaction to, this was one of your proposals that was revised a couple of times, to raise the age on semi-automatic rifles, and it did not even get a vote in a Democratic-controlled legislature.
Yeah, to say that's a disappointment would be an understatement. In Washington State, you got to be 21 to buy a handgun, and there's a waiting period. You can't walk out of the store with that handgun, but you've only got to be 18 to buy an AR-15, and there's no waiting period. It doesn't make any sense. I proposed this a year ago. I proposed it this year. We can't even get a vote on the floor of the Senate or the floor of the House. There's no excuse for that, really. The people deserve a vote on this issue.
So, and remind me of why the law is different for handguns and rifles, because I know there's a difference in the federal law, but did 594, which required a more intensive state background check for handguns, why doesn't it include rifles?
I don't have an answer for how that initiative worked on that issue. What I can say is...
But is that the reason why there's that discrepancy?
Well, there are federal laws that are implicated, but each state can set the laws for the purchase of assault weapons. In fact, we're now starting to see states like Florida move to 21 to buy an assault weapon, just like it is for handguns. So Washington State, our legislature, or the people through the initiative process, have the ability to raise that age to 21, just like handguns.
Okay, but in terms of the state background check that's attached to handguns, do you know why that's not the case for rifles?
Well, my understanding is long rifles, that assault weapons are classified like long rifles, hunting weapons. So they've always been classified differently. I shouldn't say always. They've been classified differently from handguns for at least a lengthy period of time. So at some point, back in the distant past, those rules were set up differently for long rifles than for handguns. I'm not sure folks are quite appreciating assault weapons can be classified as long rifles when they set those rules in place.
Okay. So do you sense that an initiative is on the horizon?
I think it's definitely possible. Look, I'm having conversations with individuals about the possibility of an initiative later on this year, and I think individuals are frankly outraged that our state legislature did nothing on these key issues, even after the tragic shooting in Florida, and if that won't prompt them to do it, what will?
So what would an initiative look like?
Don't know. I mean, there's so many issues that are out there, you know. Just in the past couple of years, I proposed banning the sale of assault weapons. I proposed limiting high-capacity magazines to 10 rounds. Those issues aren't getting votes at all in the legislature, in addition to this issue of moving the age of 21 to buy an assault weapon. So I think all those kinds of issues, individuals are looking at that and saying, hey, if the legislature won't act, maybe we need to take it directly to the people.
So in addition to gun safety, I mean, this is such a complicated issue. There's no one perfect solution. You know, mental health is involved, school safety and security and reporting tips is involved. So what other pieces do you think need to be scrutinized as far as the state law goes to address this in kind of a multifaceted approach?
Well, I think you put your finger on a key issue. Mental health issues are tremendously significant. We see that in shooting after shooting after shooting, that these are significant issues, and we underfund at the local and at the state level treatment for individuals who need treatment with mental health issues. We also need to enforce the laws we have on our books. We have folks who lie and try. They're not eligible to get a firearm, but they go to a dealer, they lie about their background and try to get a firearm. I think we are seeing now more and more local law enforcement trying to enforce those laws to make sure that handguns don't get in the hands of individuals who do not lawfully have a right to have them.
And I think the AG, the national AG Sessions made an announcement about that as well,
yes,
right?
That's exactly right, to try and even do a better job of enforcing the laws that we do have on the books. My office did a report about a year or so ago about those existing laws and frankly how everybody could do a better job of enforcing them. So you're exactly right. There's no one solution to this huge problem. That said, you know, the inability of our legislature to address issues like banning the sale of assault weapons or limiting high-capacity magazines are right in front of us. We know they'll make a difference. Our elected officials need to take action on those.
Okay. So in terms of enforcing, because if another law is passed or passed as a citizen initiative, and there is kind of this transition period where local jurisdictions are trying to figure out how to enforce, and we've seen, you know, sometimes it takes a while before laws on the books are enforced effectively. What do you think would help with that? I mean, your own office studied it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, on issues like raising the age of 21, that's pretty straightforward, right? Some of these other issues can be a bit more of a challenge where you have multiple agencies involved. That can sometimes be a bit more of a challenge. But I don't think for some of the issues that are in front of us right now, on banning the sale of assault weapons, for example, or raising the age of 21, those would be really relatively straightforward. I don't think you'd have a lot of complexity around trying to implement those and get those enforced.
Okay. Do you worry that if you were to raise the age or ban a certain type of firearm, that sales would increase on the black market? How would you protect against that piece?
Yeah, well, I mean, we have law enforcement for exactly that in any industry that we have, whatever individuals are buying that is not legal. So the key, though, is for the shooting we had in Mukilteo, where a 19-year-old purchased an AR-15 at a Cabela's, no waiting period, and used that weapon to kill 3 of his former classmates and seriously injure another. He would not have been old enough to buy that assault weapon, and it's a lot more of a challenge to find that on the black market, where it costs a lot more money. So these are the things that are common sense and we need to put in place right now.
Okay. So the other issue that we talked about that's come up a lot recently is reporting tips.
Yeah.
And we've also seen an increase in reporting tips recently. Yeah. And so there's a balance between where students get nervous and, maybe report about everything versus not knowing when to come forward and who they should tell. Mm-hmm. One of the ideas in the legislation that failed was this idea of kind of a tip line into your office or another state agency. We saw a lot of red flags go, uninvestigated in Florida. So what would you like to see on that issue?
Yeah, well, there is a conversation going on with that, for example, on a group that's going to look at school safety in a broader context. Where are there gaps? What can we be doing? The main message, of course, is if you see something or have concerns, notify law enforcement, right? Just pick up the phone and start notifying folks. But I think we can have a more comprehensive approach on giving more clear guidance for students or other folks or parents to notify law enforcement. But we've had success. We saw that up in the Everett area, I believe, where I think it was a grandmother, if I recall correctly, saw something suspicious about her grandson, if I remember the facts correctly, opened up the guitar case, saw the assault weapon, notified law enforcement, and law enforcement moved right away and avoided what could have been a really tragic situation. So the key is to notify somebody right away, and I think for the most part, law enforcement, notwithstanding what happened in Parkland, is going to do an excellent job of following up on those serious claims.